it's Angela here. Welcome to Let's Walk London. Let's go for a walk in Covent Garden. Good morning, and it's a gorgeous one today. We are in King Street, right next to Covent Garden. I'm going to walk you through Covent Garden. But before I do that, I've just seen a little gateway. I'm just going to pop through here. This is actually St. Paul's Church, which is one of the big symbols of Covent Garden. I didn't know they had a little entrance in here. It's just so we know, St. Paul's Church, Covent Garden. Known as the Actors' Church, in case you didn't know. Also Pygmalion, the film, 1938, I think, Eliza Doolittle. I think the scene with Eliza Doolittle was actually filmed in front of this church. I'm not sure which side, this side or the other side. Maybe the other side? So here's something I discovered that I didn't know was here, even before I started filming. It's the inside of the church. Commemorating the likes of Charlie Chaplin, Vivian Leigh, Ivan Novello. Actually walk all the way through. There's a lot of people here, so they obviously knew all about it, even if I didn't. So at the back of St. Paul's Church, Covent Garden, also Samuel Pepys in the 1600s recorded in his diary the first showing of an Italian puppet show. An Italian puppet show, yeah. People believe it may be the first ever recorded reference, or maybe even the first ever performance of a Punch and Judy show. Let's go through there, why not? I'm finding my way. I was all organised, then this happened. Let's go along here, because I had no idea this was here. I get really excited. And this church supposedly was built as an afterthought. When, is it the Earl of Bedford? I must check my notes properly. Don't want to say the wrong Earl. I don't know who this is. Tilt it up a bit. There we go. Guy on a horse. I don't know who it is. The Conversion of St. Paul by Bruce Denny, 2010. There we go. I can't remember what I was saying to you then. Oh yes, so this church was built as an afterthought actually. Because this all got gentrified. 17th century. Try not to knock this guy off his bike because he will not be happy with me. There he goes. I really nearly walked into him. Sorry. Sorry. Anyway, there he goes. Maybe one of our street performers later. May just be doing a bit of training. So here we are at Covent Garden. Going places I wasn't planning to go, through the back of St. Paul's Church. I do enjoy these walks. I'm actually running a bit late. I'm supposed to be meeting somebody at the Chandos Pub. Somebody who has a London walking channel, actually, for a drink shortly. I think I'm going to be late. So, King Street, which is where we started, and where I went into the back end of St. Paul's Church, not knowing it was there. And here we are in the square in front of St. Paul's Church. I'll tilt that down slightly. Where you would actually normally see street performers, big audience, things like that. Check other videos, you'll see it. Preferably my videos, doesn't have to be. Here is the Apple Store. So there's a fair amount of queuing going for the Apple Store. Obviously you have to wear your masks now if you go shopping. Just to get your bearings. That's the main Covent Garden market. Just going to show you the Royal Opera House, because I've gone to the trouble of researching a little bit about the Royal Opera House for you, as I've sort of whisked past it on previous walks. I thought maybe it's time I actually show you what it looks like. Up here is James Street. There's James Street, and that takes you to Longacre, which is one of the main routes through from here to Leicester Square. and you can just about make out Covent Garden Station, tube station in the distance. The shortest tube ride in London between Leicester Square and Covent Garden. You might just as well walk it once you've sort of gone in the station, gone down the escalators, waited for a train, blah blah blah, that type of thing. Kurt Geiger. So what should I tell you about the Royal Opera House? It used to be called the Covent Garden Theatre, and actually I think is it Cambridge Circus where Harry Potter is now? That theatre was supposed to be an opera house. But anyway, things change around. This was one of the first two theatres in Covent Garden. So this was the Covent Garden Theatre, and then you had the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. And those were the first two theatres in Covent Garden, and they were the first with a licence, a royal charter, royal permission to have spoken acting on a stage. And that brought the crowds into the area and frankly pushed the gentry out. The gentry weren't best pleased. Have the riffraff and all sorts of other people too. I assume posh people too came to the theatre. So the gentry didn't want everybody coming through. Apparently also brought prostitution. Helicopter, always helicopters. So this was originally opened in 1733. In 1786, Handel conducted his Messiah here. Then it burnt down. It's burnt down a few times, and it was finally replaced in sort of the late 19th century by an Italian style opera house, E.M. Barry's Italian. And now we're at the back end of Covent Garden. We'll dive down there in a moment. It's gorgeous. I really like Covent Garden. This version of it reopened in about 1980. Sort of lots of aggravation. There's more theatres down there, deep in theatre land. I went to see 42nd Street just down there. Absolutely brilliant show. Really liked 42nd Street. I'm pointing at that helicopter. Hello, helicopter. You're making a lot of noise. Okay, let's head into Covent Garden. Normally I'd come from the front end by the church, but let's show you from this end today. So this whole square is Covent Garden, designed by Inigo Jones in the style of an Italian piazza, and it was meant to be posh. Meant to be for the landed, the intelligentsia maybe. I don't know if landed and intelligent always come together. And we're going to walk straight through here. Noisy as ever, or somebody doing something. Let's go from side to side. Why not? This is the North Hall. Just going to take you down this side. Let's have a nose at some of the shops, shall we? So the 1938 film Pygmalion has this image of Covent Garden, bustling fruit and vegetable market, people carrying barrels and baskets, flower girls shouting like Eliza Doolittle at the tops of their voices, trying to outshout their competitors. Trying to show you some shops while I give you a bit of history. Is that a good idea? I don't know. Everybody packed in like sardines. And in many ways it kind of stayed that way. A little view through till James Street. Kind of stayed that way. These stalls, by the way, would normally be busy. All sorts of things being sold, jewellery, clothing, paintings. And it's kind of empty, which is a real shame. Normally you'd sort of squash through here. and I'd be trying to get you a good image of what's going on. But this version of the market was put together launched in 1980. 1974 was finally decided, we're going to have to sort this out. There's too much traffic, too much congestion. It had been known to be filthy for about 200 years. So everybody struggled to fit in. You can see very, very quiet, very little business taking place, which is awful. Really is. Buns and buns in there, okay. So there we go. So we've been in the north hall of the market. Got Whittards of Chelsea selling their tea. Great old images here, great ones. That says Lancashire celery grower Tim White with Billy Arman and unnamed Covent Garden Market Quarter, East Piazza, 1971. Sisters at the Drury Lane Theatre, 1969. I'm not going to take you past the Drury Lane Theatre. I'm going to whiz the camera, sorry, it's in that direction through there. This is the Central Avenue. Again, all sorts. I see ice cream, I see jewellery, and there you go, Punch and Judy. There's a reason why Punch and Judy is a big name in Covent Garden. And that's because, according to Samuel Pepys, in his diary, this is the first place a Punch and Judy show was ever shown. Now here's the bit I mostly associate with Covent Garden, maybe because I've been to Punch and Judy pub here too many times, which is also a possibility. Glasses. Oh, gelato. Okay, it's a gelato and ice cream shop. Let's see what it looks like in there. Yep, everybody's cleaning. Chocolate one way, gelato the other. Can't see the prices from the outside. Now normally there would be a singer here, so I always have a bit of an issue with copyright around here, because if they're singing a beautiful song, I have to mute it so I don't get a copyright claim. So let's have a point down there. Don't know whether to take you down there or not. It doesn't look that much different from the bottom than it does from the top. Let's go down. So we got an old style, we got pipes. What's that? Mullins and Westley Rich Blend Covent Garden cigarettes, 1870. Nice. Okay, let's go downstairs. So I never usually take you down there if I'm in Covent Garden, simply because it's too busy and there's usually somebody singing. So let's go down. If you haven't heard my history of Covent Garden before, this used to be the vegetable garden of the monks of Westminster Abbey. King Henry VIII in the 16th century dissolved the monasteries and grabbed this old place, gave it out to his mates, and it finally arrived in the hands of John Russell, the first Earl of Bedford. If you've seen my walk to Russell Square, you will have seen that type of thing. Now I'm going very careful here because I'm near the toilets and they're trying to social distance everybody. Crusting Pipe. I have been in there far too many times. Decent wine selection back in the day. Yes, you gathered. I did probably drink too much when I was in there. So yes, the first Earl of Bedford, John Russell, bought it and didn't do much with it for quite a long time. It's the wine place. It was finally the fourth Earl of Bedford, Francis Russell, built a house for himself on the Strand, north side of the Strand. In the original Saxon era, by the way, the River Thames actually reached as far as the Strand, when it was London Wick. That was the 7th century, a long time ago. Dancing around in history, so there's Whittards, looking kind of cute. And here we are, Punch and Judy pub is here, and I had not realised that Punch and Judy actually referred to the Samuel Pepys reference to the first ever Punch and Judy show, Italian puppetry as it was called. So you see people are eating out here. Hot pie, steak and stout. How much to eat in? £6 to eat in, £6.50 to eat in, £6 to take away. Chicken and mushroom pie, is that £5.50 and £6, I think, around those areas. So you're looking around £6, £6 to £7 for a pie. It was Francis Russell, the 4th Earl of Bedford, who actually commissioned all of this, asking Inigo Jones, royal architect, to build a square with houses fit for the habitation of gentlemen and men with ability. And then he wanted the church done because gentlemen are supposed to go to church. And they had all sorts of things go on there. Hustings, political debate, coffee shops were big here as well, coffee houses, for political debate and chitter-chatter. But apparently some were a front for prostitution. Naughty, naughty. This is also an area that avoided much of the plague. So the plague didn't really reach here much because it was kind of an out-of-the-way place. And the Great Fire of London didn't touch it at all. But it did mean a lot of people came to live and work here after the Great Fire of London. It filled up. The gentry didn't like that. They moved out. The rest, in many ways, is history. From the 19th century, much of what you see now was much the same. It became incredibly congested traffic-wise. In 1974, they moved Covent Garden to New Covent Garden at 9 Elms. I'm just going to read this to you. South East Working Donkey Group, Working Donkeys of Covent Garden. This plaque is in memory of the 100,000 costermongers' donkeys that worked in and around the market. Now, have I got time? I shouldn't really because I'm a bit late for my lunch, but London Transport Museum over there. That would be the London Transport Museum. I do love Jubilee Market. This is Jubilee Market, indoor market. Loads of stuff in here. Quite a fan.
Yeah? Wow. Which one? Oh, this one, yeah.
Memorabilia, sweatshirts, t-shirts, and it is empty. And it is usually heaving. It is usually very, very busy in here. Not all the stall holders are here, I see. And you can't really blame them because there's almost no customers in here. This is actually really bad. Actually quite tragic for everybody. Results, not a happy sight, the way that all the traders in this area are having to struggle now. Might have to come back and at least buy a t-shirt or something just to make myself feel better. It's pretty sad. Okay, well, that's the end of this walk in Covent Garden. I do hope you enjoyed it. It's empty. It's definitely being affected by the COVID pandemic. And you just have to hope that everything can survive after all of this. I keep thinking ahead to this time next year, just hoping things are looking better. Just going to point you in that direction. That's the Strand. Thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this walk around a beautiful Covent Garden on a summer's morning. I will see you again soon. Bye bye. That is St Martin's Lane. And we are going into the Chandos Pub. let's go. It's quite empty. It's a very traditional pub, this one. Hello.
Is there wherever you want, and just go to the bar or whatever you do?
Thank you very much, thank you.
Food menu or anything, or drinks menu?
Food? No. We'll order drinks in a minute, that's fine. Thank you very much, thank you. There we are, a quick view in the Chandos Pub. I'm going to order a drink.